Welcome everyone to Los Libertinos podcast. I am your host, Carlos Abelard, and this is Chingazos and Fire episode number 21. Our guest today is Rick Rohde. He is the co-host of Truth Exposed Radio, a show on the Logos Radio Network. Currently, him and his co-host are on a break, but they're ramping up to start their show up again in a couple of months. Rick is someone that I've come across many times since I started getting involved in about 2007 through the Ron Paul campaign. I saw him at Republican events, anti-war events, and we interacted slightly, but not much, but I'm sure we saw each other there, and that's how we know each other. We didn't, in the past couple of years, see eye to eye on many issues, but I always respected him because he at least puts himself out there through his show, and he puts his opinion out there on social media. So he at least has some a skin in the game, you'd want to say. So you always got to respect that. So welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks, Carlos. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Yeah. So a lot of the people would at least locally that might like this type of setup here that we're interacting here might know us. That are like local Liberty people.
Yeah.
But, the show is meant to reach whoever has been watching my show and anybody that wants to check it out. So for anybody that doesn't know who you are, can you kind of give a rundown of actually like your born and raised, your family, siblings, education, and yeah, a good rundown of that so they know where you come from and, how then you kind of, got into a little bit of the activism that you do now.
Yeah, sure, man. Basically, born and raised here in San Antonio, Texas native, and I would say middle-class family, first generation American. Family is from Mexico, even though I have a German father. I guess there's a lot of Germans down there that people don't really understand or know about. I think they call them lecheros and bolillos and.
Oh, I don't know. Is that what they call them? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I just recently heard that just because we all think that Germans and everybody immigrated to America, they immigrated to Mexico too. Yeah, we just don't think like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And I guess Argentina too, right? There's a lot of conspiracies there about that.
We'll get into that already. We'll get into that later for sure.
But born and raised here in a middle-class family and a very Catholic family. Went to Catholic school my whole life. And that kind of, senior year, the year I got expelled from Catholic high school I'm not going to mention any names, but it was actually in part to do with my awakening process of stumbling upon Alex Jones a little bit. That was 2005 or 2004. And I voted in that election. It was the first election that I voted in, the first election that I was 18 in, 2004. And I voted for John Kerry, and lo and behold, I came across American Dictators, Alex Jones' documentary on how they're basically kissing cousins from the Skull and Bones group. So that was just a wide opening, eyes wide shut, if you will, kind of experience. That got the ball rolling, man. That eventually led to listening to him, and of course, I had been into punk rock before that, and punk rock tends to be really political and kind of social, and so I was already thinking about these things, and running into Alex Jones, it seemed like just the perfect guy to listen to, and listen to him for a couple of years, and that's how I got involved with the Ron Paul campaign in 2008. He was promoting him very much so. And got involved. That was my first time around really getting involved with politics in 2008. Became a delegate for Ron Paul in Texas. Didn't go to the national level or anything like that, but did go to the state convention. Tried to voice my opinion against, I guess it was McCain at that time, or no, that was 2012, and Palin. Mitt Romney, I guess it was Mitt Romney. And
when 8 was McCain.
Oh, 8 was McCain.
Then Mitt Romney was the next vote. Yeah.
Okay, so against McCain and Palin, we tried to promote Ron Paul, and sure enough, a lot of us realized that the Republican Party had some issues. They didn't follow the procedures and rules in order to elect delegates and elect their candidate, and we saw the corruption from the inside, and that got me disenfranchised with politics. I had a little hermit phase where I stepped out of the limelight. Not only I think I ran into you, and I ran into Matt Medina as well, and we started We Are Change, a chapter of a 9/11 Truth group here in San Antonio around that time. I would say '08, when we got back from the convention, and was involved for about a year, and then was gone, man. We were gone for about 3 years, and I didn't really get involved into politics again until 2012, with the second time around that Ron Paul got, was running, and that so happened to coincide with the Occupy movement.
That's right.
Occupy Wall Street movement that I was also involved with here locally in San Antonio, and that was a whole other awakening process, because I felt like I had to have answers to these all these socialist arguments and claims, and it led me more towards the Austrian School of Economics and understanding liberty and getting into political philosophy on a level that I hadn't before. And ever since then, it's been a process. I would say I went to the extreme purist route first, got into the liberty movement, the principles, the ideals of liberty and libertarianism and classical liberalism, and basically was kind of a virtue signaling, I don't know, I refer to them as virtue signaling libertarians, where anybody that partakes in the political process I saw as being evil and corrupt and tainted with the political scheme. And it was until I guess more recently, it took about a decade or so to come to the realization that even though it's a dirty game, I mean, you got to get involved, or else the swine are going to play for you, right? So and that kind of leads us to the show, I guess. I've been doing the show with Cuddy Rohde for I don't know, about 8 years now, 9 years, since 2013, February 2013, and you can find us on Logos and the archives there. And we're pretty much like a red pill kind of hardcore libertarian show. So definitely check us out, and that leads us to our slight here debates on, I think, more procedure than anything else.
Yeah.
On whether we should get involved with the Trump campaign or not.
So that leads right into it. Yeah, man, you perfect, man. You that's as good as a rundown you can give, man, for how you get into this stuff. So most of our back and forth was mostly during the Trump administration, and I guess, and I was telling you before we got on that our engagements were always they were I always liked them, but I couldn't engage too much because I'm not somebody that could like say what I want to say writing it down, and so I think this is kind of a cool experience that we can respect each other to come have these conversations. But yes, it was during the Trump administration, and my thing was mostly that I didn't like the way so I want to bring in a lot of stuff here. so I like Greg Popovich's Spurs, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because I think he's right on a lot of things as far as being able to tell a lot about somebody's character. Because it's known that he doesn't draft players based on only their talent or mostly their talent. Like he says, you got to draft them through it's more about the character, because then you can coach them and all that. So He was somebody that was vocal early about, he goes, something's wrong with this guy and something. So, I'm going to hear someone that I respect, and I'm going to hear, and then I never liked how he came up through the, this whole, he was basically like an immigration hardliner, which of course I'm not, because, my life, just the way I grew up and the way that I've interacted with family members and all that, I just took a little bit like a step back to be like, all right, I know what he's doing, but I don't like it. So that was always kind of my thing, and so that's where it started, where I was like, man, this guy, he knows how to play to people's emotions, which is okay if you want to get into power, which is what he did, right? I mean, so that was always the part of it. So I think a lot of the stuff for me came from that point, was that I did in the beginning have like what they would call like Trump derangement syndrome, right? Where it was like anything Trump in the beginning, but and then it didn't take too long to be like, to me at least, like, he's just like one of them, just different style. Now I think you would say that he's not like one of them, and maybe that was some of the like back and forth what we got. But
Sure.
you know, Trump coming up as like an immigration hardliner. You know, how did that play into how you either liked him or not? Was that something that attracted you in the beginning, or what was it about? What did I miss on the Trump moment, I guess, or the Trump experience that I didn't get, I guess?
Well, in regards to immigration, you know, I mean, 2008, it may not have been Ron Paul's major stance, but there was definitely a talk, and there has been a talk, I think, for some time now, when you look at the John Birch Society and different other groups like that in the Republican Party, on doing something about the border, right? Doing something about the fact that we have a steady flow of illegal immigration that tends to favor demographically the Democratic Party. And so that was a talk that was back then. So the fact that, and basically every president, you know, that became president during their campaign would talk about, you know, turning back illegal immigration and doing something about.
Yeah, I think Ron Paul even talked about was anger baby stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
I remember that, but I didn't like it.
And Bill
you know.
Clinton and Barack Obama, they talked about the problem of illegal immigration, and so it was definitely a talking point that the American people favored as a populist, you know, concept. And the fact that Trump actually tried or attempted to do something about it, whether you agreed with the policies or not of turning people back or trying to build a wall, it showed that he was at least serious about doing something about it versus just giving the rhetorical, you know, talk. And so that's on the immigration thing. I don't think it differs. It's that radical from what has been said at every other prior presidential election. You know, he just followed through with it. I guess that was a radical part. He actually tried to do something about it. And the other thing, you know, that I think Trump could be credited for is giving Republicans the balls to stand up to the media. You know, for the longest time, basically Republicans would cower away with their tail between their legs and basically castrated off to the, you know, behind the scenes whenever the media would accuse them of being sexist, misogynist, racist, homophobic, xenophobic, anti-woman, whatever. They would cower away, but Trump actually attempted to stand up to them and was pretty successful at doing so, you know. So I think that's something that...
Well, do you think he had some of those characteristics, even if they weren't at the front, but just, meaning like maybe he just was okay with, hey, okay, well, so what? It might be a little bit, but so, you know, he didn't say it that way, but, you know, okay, you know, like he just said, okay, well, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, you know, or was it all overblown? Any type of those, descriptions of whether he was that way, you know, I mean, well, I mean, mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think it's, I mean, now you could, I mean, that's good, man. You're checking me on like the immigration stuff and stuff, like, you could say, no, he's not racist at all. No, he's not this. No, I mean, I sense a little bit. I mean, you know, but I could be wrong, you know, but I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, look, the racist and, you know, misogynist card has been played since Barry Goldwater. When Barry Goldwater ran against John F. Kennedy, you know, they were using that card against him for, you know, essentially playing the fascist card. You know, he's literally Hitler, you know, a card. So it's an old tactic that the Democratic Party has been engaged in, and whenever any Republican tries to stand for Republican values, they're automatically labeled as such, and they would always turn their backs and run off. You know, whereas Trump stood his ground and explained the position and explained how he wasn't racist or, you know, homophobic.
Did you like this is not my original thought. I know a lot of people bring this up, and I do like this idea because I think we might be in agreement that a lot of the political theater that we see is just that, almost like wrestling, where like, you know, and it's funny because when I was growing up as a kid, when Stone Cold came out, that was badass. Like whatever, you know, him throwing the middle finger at every, you know, and to me, Trump is like that kind of character where, sure. So I can see why I get it. Like, I get it, man. Like I actually, I can see why, other than if he had a different style, I might even be like, oh, you know, I guess I just didn't really like his style, which, you know, sometimes it happens, you know. Yeah, because rhetoric wise, if you eliminate all the way that he did it, he was saying the same kind of talking points that have been said for a long time.
Sure.
He spent money like they would have done it if it would have been a Republican that I might have liked. You know, I was going for Rand Paul at the 2016.
Right.
You know, who knows? He might have spent money just like as much as Trump. You know, and he would have but I guess we'll never know. But you know, he ended up being like every kind of guy like that did. And at any point from the beginning, and then as he started getting in more, was there, you know, that might have been something too that I was like, there was, so like I said right now, you know, so my Trump derangement syndrome part was early because I used to talk shit about Republicans that would get scared about the North Korean guy whenever he was, so I would always, well, I don't know the fucking name, one of those, whatever, the dad or the son, whatever, and
what are the Kim Jong?
Yeah, and I would always say, he ain't gonna do shit because the generals, all those vatos with all those things, they have sanchas, and therefore they want to go to those sanchas, so they're not gonna let this dude blow up the world. So that was what I would say. I was like, he's not gonna do nothing. You're just using okay. And I had to catch myself, and not until I caught myself, like saying the same shit. I was doing the same fear stuff about Trump's gonna get us all killed with this North Korean shit like that.
Right.
Then, and you know, I had to catch myself. I was like, oh shit, I'm doing the same thing. Trump derangement syndrome. All right, fair enough. Okay, I had it. Now I know that I had it, and now, yeah, these generals too aren't gonna let this motherfucker just go, you know, blowing up shit. And recently we saw that whatever you think about it, whatever beef they had, I guess that new general was saying like he talked to China and shit like that. Okay, that is my theory of like these guys are not gonna let these presidents do whatever, you know, because in the background these guys have their own relationship. You know, they have their own. One time, man, I saw, I don't know if you've seen it, like
all about the pussy, huh?
Yeah. Well, no, like on what you want to say? What?
All about the pussy is that?
I haven't even seen that one. You gotta tell me about that. No, I was gonna say on Vice, on the Vice channel. There was one time where all these military people, they meet up to have like, they have their conventions of like all these other war tanks and the you know, basically the military industrial complex tries to sell all these equipment to these, and they all meet up. Of course they party and hang out and they have relationships amongst themselves like that we don't even know what you know. So for this vato to call the check, hey, you know, just so you know, we ain't gonna let it. Yeah, okay. Well, all I guess I'm saying is that my question goes back to, was there ever a point where you might have been like, yeah, this guy, he didn't turn out the way that I did? Because it always felt like you defended him all the way to the end. Was there any point where you thought, a little bit, yeah?
Are there criticisms that I have about Trump?
Yeah, I guess so. Because it never, to me, the way when we interacted, it always felt like there was whatever way the conversations went was to maybe defend the line that, I don't know, maybe you could tell me like, well, it wasn't maybe defending Trump, maybe it was defending the strategy of having somebody in there and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, you know, we can...
Yeah, well, I mean, look, he wasn't a statesman, right? He wasn't a statesman. He's not a Ron Paul character, not even a Rand Paul, right? Trump knows little to nothing about political philosophy or economics, right? He's a sales guy. But I genuinely think that he listened to enough talk radio and the alternative media that he had some sense about him. I think that's what it is with Trump. He's not a statesman. He's not an intellectual. He's not an academic. He's not into political philosophy or economics, but I think he listened to enough of the other side of the hardcore, what we would call Republican base or wing, you know, a faction.
He was a big, now you can tell me this is true, as I was just interrupting, it was like, he was a big Sean Hannity, like, I think they said, and it could be untrue because, you know, all this stuff, media, that him and Sean Hannity, you know, had their normal calls in the evening, and so he was a Fox News person.
Sure.
Mostly, right? Okay. So
talk radio guy.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, have any of the presidents been talk radio? I mean, right? I mean, I guess you can't go as far back as Reagan. You know, that's pretty far back. But the '90s was pretty much dominated by Clinton, and then you have the Bushes, which are pretty much like McCain, right? Getting some middle of the road Republicans in name only. Right?
Yeah, those guys would have played to the Sunday political shows. Like they would have heard whatever was on the Sunday political shows and been influenced by them, you know. So Trump was influenced a lot by media?
I think he listened to enough alternative media to be enough outside of the box to where he was an actual threat to the establishment.
Okay.
You know, so you have that fact, right?
Breitbart would be one that's a little bit outside of the whole thing.
With Steve Bannon, as his first campaign manager, which he had to fire, right? Because of the media and social backlash, so-called social. We don't know how the the research, the statistics came through or not. But so I think he listened to enough of that. But again, as far as criticism, I think obviously he's not a political philosopher. He's a salesman. And then obviously his pardonings, when he got out, a lot of deep state, a lot of nefarious, scum that got pardoned. And he wasn't he's by no stretch of the imagination a libertarian in any way. But I think
good on foreign policy stuff.
I think
good instinct on that.
I think at the end of the day, attacking Trump, right, and not focusing on communists and internationalists and globalists or whatever you want to call them, is friendly fire at the end of the day. It may not be your division, it may not be the guys it's part of your little clique, but it's still friendly fire, And I think that was the issue of why I had to become so vocal in favor of Trump, because it's like, hey guys, let's get rid of the common enemy first, and then we can focus on our differences, right? And it was a strategy thing as opposed to a principle.
So then, within the strategy, did Trump do friendly fire against all the people that he fired, like Steve Bannon?
Yeah. Of course he did, and shutting up during the Jan 6 thing, right? No, basically not coming out and saying, hey, wait a minute, there was no riot, there was no insurgency. I did not communicate with any of these people. He didn't do enough there, and he pardoned too many of the deep state, of the swamp. I have my issues with him. But is he the best chance we got in 2024? Unfortunately, maybe Rand, now that he finally is starting to copy the Trump approach of growing some cojones, and saying it like it is, and not being afraid of the ramifications. That's what Trump taught Rand Paul, and I think that's what the Republican Party needed, was be able to say what you believe and stand your ground.
Yeah. So then, him not having the philosophy in his backbone was the main issue for not standing up to, we call it the deep state or the bureaucratic class or whatever, because or even though he went toe to toe with the media class. Right. He didn't need to fire Steve Bannon, but he would turn on the TV just like everybody else. And like you said, if he's a salesman, if something ain't selling, I guess.
It was a popular.
Because it was, okay, so this is cool. So this is a good conversation, man. So we're actually having.
Steve Bannon is popular, but he's not he's not amongst the general populace.
Yeah, and I hope the audience out there likes this, because this was the conversation we could have had,
Totally agree.
But it just never happened. So I hope people like this stuff. So
this is why this is better than Facebook.
Yes, for sure, man. And
face conversations, you better have them. Yeah, you
better. So yes, go have drinks with some people and have conversations. Especially this past year with the COVID, a lot of people missed out on that. But oh man, I lost my train of thought. It was okay. It was the Trump stuff. Steve Bannon here.
We disagreed.
Yeah, but it was dang. I had a good point.
We could have met more in the middle here.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought here. Okay. Let me get into something else, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. That's what it was. The deep state. This thing that we call the deep state. The first time I ever heard of that term, and was Ron Paul, the Liberty Report or whatever it was. He had interviewed the guy that wrote the book called The Deep State. I don't remember his name and all that. But basically, he was just talking about what he called the permanent bureaucratic class. That's always there.
Unelected, right?
Unelected bureaucratic class. And so I remember I used that term real early because I don't know if you were aware, but I would get invited to their local radio show here sometimes, and because I called into the radio, they invited me on, and I was using that term. I'm not saying I was the first one, but I remember that I had said it before even Trump started, because I saw it, when you get some new fire shit, you use it, you use it,
when somebody,
you're like, oh shit, hey, the deep state, people like, what's that? Okay, but is it the deep state won, right?
I mean, essentially, yeah.
Okay, so
it always wins.
Okay, so that's why, because this becomes now strategic a little bit, but with maybe philosophy in there, and this is probably why I also had most of my beef started turning to what I always turn to, which is like budgetary stuff, fiscal stuff. Because to me, the deep state or the swamp, that one was Trump's or whatever, or whoever started that one, that was a good one too. They swim in deficit spending. That's their goo. That's where they like to swim. So yeah, I never liked when, especially because since the Ron Paul stuff, I mean, you might remember the progression was like, oh, if we just get a Republican in there, no, okay, if we just win the House, we could stop the death. If we went, and I remember during Obama years, yeah, the Tea Party, right?
Take it back to Gingrich.
The Tea Party, this and that. Yeah. Well, from what I remember, it was like, and then once the Trump, when he first got in, they had all the, not a super majority in the Senate, but they had all three branches. So even if Trump would have done some of the stuff that I would have liked, I would have been, all right, my bad. Hey, this dude's fucking, he has the cojones that I thought that I didn't think he had.
Right. Right.
So the fiscal stuff was the stuff that I always got into. How did you, reconcile a little bit of that side of it? That every time they would all talk this shit. When it came to signing those bills, he was there to sign. And some people that I would bring this up to, I'll be like, they would say, "Oh, but the House makes these bills," and I don't think it was you. I was like, but he doesn't have to sign them.
He doesn't have to sign them.
But he always signed them.
There's presidential vetoes, right? There's presidential. Yeah, exactly.
I guess they just don't sign them.
Yeah.
But he was always there for the sign. Was that every time an issue or anything? I think I always came to that because that was my style.
And it's an understandable thing to come to, right? To realize if you're a party of fiscal conservatism, right, that you're trying to keep people's pocket full with their own money and not tax them to death. Why aren't they cutting back spending, right? And what I came to realize is Ron Paul, right? The amount of spending cuts that Ron Paul wanted to do. Could you imagine the amount of crises and protests that there would be on the street if Ron Paul did 10% of the amount of cutting that he wanted to do? I mean, you would have the teachers union, all the federal employee unions, everybody protesting in the street saying he's taking our jobs. Families are starving because they're cutting all these federal spending.
I don't know.
I guess the point
we had shutdowns.
Well, I guess the point I'm trying. Yeah, but that's for political power as opposed to dismantling political power. Those are two different things, right? And so I think what unfortunately, though Trump has some balls, it's probably I don't know what age they start to drop at, but it's just barely. Yeah. It wasn't the full-fledged, full-male droppage. So the whole point, what I'm trying to get at is unfortunately, politics is downstream of culture, and if our culture is not ready to deal with people being unemployed and having to reposition their jobs from the government sector to the private sector, if we don't want to talk about that, then we're never going to have government cuts in spending. Never. We may have government cuts in taxes, which is what Republicans do, but they never cut the budget. They never cut the spending. They always cut the taxes, which then puts us in a deficit, and then Democrats come in and save the day by adding taxes, right?
Yeah.
And, we balanced out the deficit. We balanced out the budget. Well, yeah, because you added taxes. But did any of them cut the government? No, because federal unions and government unions have too much of a stranglehold in the political process. So it's realizing we're in a political arena where the private sector is held hostage by the public sector, and how can we begin to cut the public sector without having the media and having unions, and they're going to parade teachers and all this, at the front line saying, "Oh my gosh, you're starving families. You're taking food off the table of families and hardworking families and this and that." Blah blah blah. It's a hard political move. It's like being against government education, right? They would automatically going to label you as being some Neanderthal backwards anti-book reading person. Like it's a hard position.
Oh man, I think you just described me. But okay. So I would disagree a little bit because to me it's the cleanest way of telling so this is into the weeds, but we know that there's always increases.
Sure.
I mean, they don't even cut anything, man. Like anything.
I agree.
So, but there were shutdowns for other reasons. I think there might have been, I don't remember all the shutdowns, but some were fiscal stuff and some were
raising the debt ceiling.
Yeah, I don't even know if one was about immigration stuff when McCain did I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. But the longest shutdown, it wasn't a couple of days. There was one that he had. It was like a week or two. Or we didn't see anything.
He tried not to raise the debt ceiling, right? The Republicans actually tried not to raise the debt ceiling.
I don't know, man. I forgot. I don't think it was for like fiscal. I think it was for other types of leverage. But I could be wrong. So anybody can correct.
Well, the national parks.
But we didn't see. Oh, that's right. Everything was closing down. Yeah. But everybody was like I didn't see the. So, okay. So maybe this is a little bit of something that, no, man, I think we disagree. So then what are you saying? That there can never be cuts?
I'm not saying that.
Because you say the culture is not ready for it. But I think the culture might be ready for it because they didn't go wild when there was so when government shut down, everybody was like, okay, so I can't go to the park. Yeah, but I still got to go to work. The only people that brought up the most noise was the media class, the bureaucratic class, that class. Everybody else on the streets was pretty much like, oh, pinche Trump, quién sabe el gobierno with this, but all the essential things kept on going. And so like, I don't know.
There's a distinction between essential.
Like I don't know. There might be something out there that says cuts. Like that's why too. And I'm going to Rand Paul again, but I like, so when he was in office, I remember like he would say, hey, I can only control the budget in my office, and I was able to cut so much percentage off, and he would give checks to the. So to me, for character-wise, I would say, okay, that's a man of character. He's living the life that he's saying that he wants to do. Okay, can he scale that to the federal government? Okay, that's why I'm going for some. Okay, so I think it can.
You have to break some more ribs.
The only people that would really be so it goes to priorities and different things. So I guess now we go into policy and things like that. So that would be another type of conversation. So then, what are you looking for? And so you're saying Trump 2024 would be the. You're saying he would probably be the best one.
I mean, him or Rand Paul, right? Rand Paul, fortunately, I mean, who would have thought, Carlos? Who would have thought that the son of Ron Paul, the guy that we were clamoring for in 2008 and 12, would be this close to the White House? He was pretty close when you consider the Trump presidency and the Trump administration. He was at least one of the advisors.
Or he had his ear exactly. On some foreign policy stuff a little bit.
The president would at least listen to Rand Paul.
Yeah.
When could we ever, as libertarians, ever imagine being that close to the White House? You know what I'm saying? Never, bro. Never. Now, Rand Paul has made enough commotion and made a big enough name for himself, standing up for liberty and principles. Now that I think
on both sides of the political spectrum, so it helps him a little bit.
Exactly, and him and Tulsi, right, Gabbard and everything. I think we're at a point now where he may be able to do it on his own. He doesn't need Trump anymore because Trump was a populist. He got the momentum that was there from the Tea Party and from the John Birch Society and from all the disgruntled and disenfranchised Republican, liberty-minded Republicans that had been in the party for so long.
Are they? Or are they just
I'm not saying all
partisan?
I'm not saying all Republicans.
No, there's another question. Do you think that that is the case, or are they just partisan? Because when it came to budgets, I heard them during Obama, right, all the budget stuff, and then I would say, what about now? Oh, it's different. Like I never liked that. I never liked that.
If they were partisan, there wouldn't be never Trumpers within the Republican Party. I mean, there wouldn't be McCains and Romneys within the party. But
I don't think those people were real budget hawks. The budget hawks were like the Tea Party people and like people we might know that.
That's what I'm saying. But again, we're reiterating the same point: is how hard is it to cut government budgets? Because it means cutting government jobs, which means unionized jobs. 60% of government jobs are unionized. So go fight a union. And if you fight one union, then you better be ready to fight all the unions because they're all going to come after you because they're going to be afraid of getting cuts in their sector too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to each stand up for each other.
Sure.
Because it's the government. Talk about the deep state.
That's they're fighting for the resources that's there and all that.
Exactly.
So that goes to a little transition on topics a little bit, but so this past year in COVID, you're talking about unions. I think people might look differently now at maybe the teachers' unions.
Yeah, right.
Because
you would hope so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Someone like my sister just started. She's not political, but I would bring up homeschooling, and she just started homeschooling her kids simply because she's like, I was already doing it, and what's the point? And it wasn't even political with her. It was just like, okay, it's not a big deal to do or something like that. Now, does I guess the question is the culture changing a little bit towards looking at these institutions that were always hands-off government, because now that we saw how COVID, because a lot of people might see like teachers unions and be like, and I don't know, man. And I say a lot of people, I think I'm saying, I don't know. Maybe it's still hands-off, but at least you can say to somebody on the streets or anybody like, hey man, they're getting paid and all that, and you're still teaching you had to teach your kids at home and do all that. Like they should have at least gotten a cut, right, or something. You can at least make the argument for that now with COVID.
Sure.
Do you think there's any type?
You can, yeah.
Is there? You think that would even play, or is the culture still?
Times change, right? And luckily, right, the more the state grows and the more needless suffering takes place because of statism, more people wake up. We woke up 2008, 2012. People waking up now, 2020, because of COVID. That's okay, But the culture is always going to be changing, one way or the other, right?
We're definitely fighting the uphill battle, though, right?
Yeah.
There's less waking up.
I think so.
Compared to the ones that are just stay asleep, right? See, that's another thing that goes to strategy, strategy, right?
This gets into libertarian class theory too. So you got Marxist class theory, right? Capitalists versus workers. Right?
Okay. Yes.
Well, there's a libertarian class theory. It's tax beneficiaries versus taxpayers.
Yes.
Right? Well, tax beneficiaries have been growing. People living off of the benefit of taxes has been growing. So unfortunately, the more people that become dependent upon the state, we have, as libertarians, as a liberty movement, we have more, I don't want to say enemies, but more minds to change, more people to convince that the state is not the route to go. So every side is clamoring. We're winning people over because businesses are getting shut down and people are losing their jobs and people are seeing the system for what it is, and they're winning people over because they're buying people out with the PPPs and
Trump checks
and the
right?
COVID checks.
But that's little Trump checks.
Could you imagine?
I like that, but I was like, what? Fuck it. I bought a little bit of silver with my Trump check. I was like, okay, I'll take it. I was not one of these super principled, like, oh, I don't want no money. Oh, fuck it. They're taking my money anyway. It's your money. It's your money.
Yeah, getting back.
I'll take a Trump check anytime or anybody's check. Yeah, that's funny.
But on the monthly, no, I gotta. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna just it's gonna make us dependent. Right?
Is there a case for man? What do they call it?
Universal.
No. Well, yes, but also accelerationism, meaning like you know what? Fuck it, just take. Yes, we do want. Let's cut government spending and over. Hey, no Afghanistan war. What was the budget? Okay, we'll just turn that over to. We'll split that between everybody. Everybody gets a check on the ending Afghanistan war. You want to end another war? Whatever that budget for was, we'll cut a check to So this is something that I've been thinking about a little bit. But now that we're just talking a little bit, sure. How do we reform governments to be able to actually cut? And this is good because now I'm gonna lay it out here a little bit. Was that you incentivize the government bureaucratic class to buy themselves out by basically telling them, hey, this is your budget, okay? This if you're able, whatever you cut out of your budget, half of it you can give to yourself in bonuses. The other half goes to paying off debt. And every year, like you whatever you cut of your budget, and if you're able to eliminate your whatever the original budget was, you guys can, like whatever it is, just get
reducing
basically like incentivize them to I guess kill themselves in a way, but also knowing that they're gonna basically leave with some nice checks, I don't know I haven't really thought about it 100%, but it's like, hey Department of what is one of those useless I don't even know what useless. Have you worked for the Department of Interior?
BLM, Bureau of Land Management. How about that one?
Okay.
Not Black Lives Matter. That's also useless.
So like So I don't even know what they do. I don't even know what the Department of Interior does, but they just say like, hey, department, maybe the department's too big, but a branch of it, like because there's like the managerial class that is the ones that manage the. I don't want to also say like paper pushers, but there's probably a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, managerial class, manage and cut back on your budgets and give them some money, like basically like buying out these people, but buying them out. We spend money, we print money on stuff. Why not spend it to just like start eliminate? I don't know, man. I guess I don't know.
It's the Mises. Ludwig von Mises pointed this out, right? Bureaucracies have an incentive to grow, right? Their budgets, because you want to get more money next year, just like businesses.
Yeah.
Right. Businesses have an incentive to grow their budgets, but it's how you do so that makes all the difference, right? Bureaucracies increase their budgets by increasing taxation or allocating more taxation to their revenue, whereas businesses
justifying their existence, right? With fear,
exactly.
with fear,
exactly. So you have a new epidemic or a new drug war or a new problem, a new criminal class, whatever it may be. Whereas businesses have the same incentive, but they do so by providing a product or a service, creating more customers, having more revenue come in voluntarily, right? And so, how do we incentivize government to shrink itself? We can't. It's kind of like it's like incentivizing cancer.
So we can't
to not be malignant.
We
right?
can't, or we have not really thought about it in a different way of how to do it. So like so I'm an entrepreneur, and the profit signal is how you see how you're allocating your resources, and if you're making profit, then you're good. So maybe they don't have a profit incentive, but they have a bonus structure incentive to give themselves some badass bonuses because they're eliminating their positions. Maybe it sounds like dumb, like nah, that ain't gonna. Well, a lot of theories sound like they're just theories, but I don't know. I would think that if somebody was working a government job that had 50, 60K, 70K, that those. Hey, are you saying that if as a managerial one, if I'm able to figure out my 10 people that I'm in charge of, I can help them out by just cutting the budget, give them some bonuses, and if we get in the same idea and the same page, in 3 or 4 years, if we cut the whole department, I can give them, and they can just, let me talk to them. Let's see what's up. Can we do it? And I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much, like as a general contractor. I think I could get some people to hey, let's cut this shit and fuck it. We'll just start our own company and do some I don't know. I'm just saying the incentives aren't there to cut right now. They're always there to grow, but it's about giving them different incentives. But I mean, of course, who's going to run on hey, I want, I don't know. No one's really done it to say, hey, cut, managerial bureaucratic class, let's just buy you out. You want to get bought out or something? I don't know. I mean,
here's the thing. If we can find,
I'm just freestyling, a little bit, right?
No, I totally see what you're saying. If we could say we found the perfect incentive to find a way to, like you're saying, decrease government, and they're incentivized to do so, right?
Yes, incentivized to find the savings in this.
We still need a society that believes in shrinking government to begin with, in order to even put those incentives in place. First of all, right? We need a society that believes that government is a problem and that we need to decrease the size of it in order to even put the incentives to decrease them to begin with in place. If we have a society that 50% believes that no, government is the solution, we're never going to get the incentives to decrease the size and scope and power of it in place, because they're gonna see it for what it is from their perspective. They're gonna see it as a way to push this, what they're gonna call right-wing, conservative, which are all derogatory, euphemisms or derogatory slander terms. Right.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm also thinking too that most people, when I say most, like not us, we're into this shit. And the people that watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, like the people that are into it,
watching the news,
all that stuff. I don't think they represent most people. Maybe not.
Right.
So most people don't even know whether government grows or doesn't. It's just on automatic. I think if it was to, I know what you're saying. Yeah, the media would go like the world's gonna finish, but I guess it goes back to like it goes back to
dumb. Kids are gonna be dumb, right? People are gonna starve.
But it goes back to like the shutdowns. Like they did that, And I just remember everybody that didn't have government stuff. So the government people actually liked not liked it. Whenever people I knew that were for good, they were like, oh, we're not getting paid. But I would just automatically say, oh, but you're going to get paid, right?
Yeah. It's like the sequester situation.
Yeah. Like you're going to still get paid, right?
It's back.
Oh, yeah, but we have our pills. Okay, but what are you doing right now? Like none of them, if they were, at least the ones that I knew.
Signed up for unemployment.
Yeah, or none of them went to go, oh, you know what, I'm going to go do some side hustle. So when I do get paid, but it was just those people. Everybody else, when the government shut down, we still had to go work construction and, do our work and shit like that. That is most people, I think. But, of course, just like different theories and different strategies, they're all good in our heads and, it's hard to implement them. And I guess the Trump moment, I would like to then say that what I took most out of it and what I actually do thank him for, was that to me, he made the presidency like a joke, like, hey, you know what? Anybody can be, like, hey, you don't have to be this super like Ivy League looking, or this, or you don't got to eat the greatest food. You can eat burgers. You can do like he just kind of made it kind of like he just took it down a notch where it needed to be because, we don't live in this like.
From the political class to the business class, or what do you?
I mean, he just took it down like where.
Because he's a real estate mogul, right?
He's a New York. I guess what I mean is yes, but I mean you can just have somebody that wasn't as well spoken as the past of how these like intellectual Ivy Leaguers speak and stuff like that. Like Barack Obama, yeah, he can play ball, but he was an Ivy League kind of vato, the way. Yeah. Okay, and all before that,
could barely lift 5 pound weights.
Maybe Bush had the different like where they would make fun of him because he didn't. But he was still what you call like a blue blood or whatever. He was still one of them. He wasn't. So I do say that Trump at least like so now Biden's in, right? Yeah. And people are doing the same thing. Even Biden is doing like the whole. Oh, come on. Like, if people could do, like, come on. If Trump was in, man. Biden is in, like what, the leadership class, and I guess this goes into, like, I guess my next question here, we could be, as we shift a little bit, is, like, we're watching the decline of an empire, right? In real time. Is that what's going on with this leadership class, that they can't even figure out how to even put somebody of, like, high intellect that can... Even if it's for them,
that's a great question.
Even if it's for them to keep their power,
right.
People are starting to see the breaks. They don't even have anybody good that can even hold their own scam together, right? So is that kind of what happens during these declines? Hey, what's up, everyone? I hope you're enjoying the show so far. Just wanted to drop a quick ad for PalomaVerdeCBD.com. It is the sponsor of the show. It is a business that my wife Vanessa and I own and operate. If you visit the website, you can get 25% off anything in the store by using the discount code Chingazos. If you like any of our doing an ad for Paloma Verde, right? You help out with the packages, right? Shipping it and helping us sometimes?
Yes.
What do?
Help.
You help?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So please visit PalomaVerdeCBD.com. Use the promo code Chingazos and get 25% off anything in the store. And just know that you're helping our efforts. And
yeah, because we love people.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think this goes back to the point, that I would have to credit to Lauren Southern. She pointed out that politics.
I don't know who she is. What was that?
Well, politics is downstream of culture, right? And I mean, you can go back to the Discovery Channel. I used to watch the Discovery Channel as a kid. I'm not that old. I'm 35 years old. When I was about 10 years old, I would watch the Discovery Channel, and it actually had, analysis on sharks and their mating rituals and their immigration, rituals or migration rituals or whatever. And now it's just like Mythbusters, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, before you used to have Ayn Rand and Milton Friedman getting interviewed on KLRN or PBS, and now it's like, some special on,
Yeah.
what gender am I? Like I think our whole culture as a whole, and you can see this in literature too. I mean, you read books from the 1800s or early 1900s, the early 20th century, and it's rich. It's rich. It's hard to read. It's challenging. You read stuff today, bestseller stuff today, and it's ultra thick print, double space, triple space, no,
Yeah.
no substance, just nothing but emotional. So I think unfortunately, and Trump, even though again earlier I criticized him of not being a statesman or a political philosopher, which he isn't, but he's trying to cater to society at the moment. And unfortunately, our society as a whole is on a decline, intellectually speaking or academically speaking. So the fact that we have a diaper-wearing president now that can barely even form a sentence is just a reflection, a mirror image of where we're at socially. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much that they're bringing us down, is that this is where we're at. This is what we've come to.
So I don't know what the generations they are. These vatos are old, obviously.
Yeah.
But they always call, at least what do they call, the boomers, or even before that, the greatest generation and all that stuff. Sure. You know what? I remember going on the radio shows on the, and I was the young guy there, and I would just be like, why do you look down on the young people about who they're voting for? I was like, you've been voting for all of this for like your whole life. So why are you talking shit about these, the 18-year-old kid that, and just maybe the same question, but is this their last stand? This generation of this, I don't even know what you would call it. I don't know. I don't know. They're 70 plus, but they would have lived with especially this class, someone like Trump too, he gave money to Democrats and this and to Republicans to play the game, because he knew the closer you are to government, the closer that you are to the action of protectionists from the capitalistic profit, that everybody, the closer you are to that.
The crony.
Exactly. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, the crony and yes, exactly.
He was a New York real estate Mongol. Of course, he's going to be giving money to Democrats.
Yeah. So then, is this their last stand, or are we going to get another 70? Or you said Trump, maybe. We're saying a little bit of Rand, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Rand,
is this their last? Yeah, diaper. This. I don't know. Is this their last stand? Are we going to still see a 70-plus-year-old president?
We need a renaissance, man. We need a renaissance. We need young people to not only care and be passionate about politics, but to be, passionate enough to research and to debate and to listen. The hardest thing to do sometimes is to listen.
Yeah.
And because everybody has an opinion, and that's fine. It's great to have an opinion. That's a beautiful thing. But it's even better to listen to the plethora of opinions out there. Because in that way you can kind of tread your way through, navigate your way through and find the best arguments. And it's usually the best arguments and the most evidence that kind of,
or even to get checked sometimes, right? Or even to get checked. Oh, my bad, I was wrong, or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's usually the best arguments and the best the best debaters, the best arguments, the most evidence on whatever side it is that has the history on their side. That has history on their side. And that's what we need to do, as opposed to just defending a narrative, right? And I think we're too busy. People are too busy defending a narrative, as opposed to searching for the truth. And if we have a renaissance, hopefully we do with this Gen Z. Hopefully they're fed up with all this propaganda and all this. At the end of the day, it's conservatism, because this is the way you have to be, or else, right? It's a form of conservatism. We've reached the new hippie form of conservatism. If you're not woke, then you're not cool, right? Well, that becomes its own form of conservatism at that point. So we need our rebels, we need our liberals, we need from this paradigm that we're at.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can continue that spirit of rebellion and inquiry individualism alive. That's
Yeah,
really,
yeah. No, I hear you, man. I agree to that. I'll drink to that, man.
yeah,
Salud.
yeah. Salud,
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 yeah,
salud.
yeah.
Cheers to that. Yeah, that's good.
So changing up a little bit. Speaking of rebels, Jesus Christ.
Ooh.
Now, I'm not very religious, and I respect the tradition of it because I was raised Catholic. I always did all the Catholic stuff. You know,
Sure.
my wife and I got married Catholic. I like it as ritualistic, whatever. We got married in front of it with a church, so
Okay.
I'm how would you say
Culturally.
well, what I'm saying is I don't I'm not very religious, but if I made the promise to myself, and the church, well, I still made it to wherever this God was that I was doing it to.
And
I got, yes. So I gotta respect. So so I respect it, but I don't go to church weekly and all that stuff.
Sure.
But you do post a lot of like biblical scriptures and things like that. And I read them sometimes, but they go over my head because I'm thinking I'm not religious, but you're here now, and so we can talk a little bit about it. What is the current state of your like spirituality, and also how does it affect your activism and how you kind of like navigate this ship that we're in, that we're currently on, the world we live in,
Yeah, man. Good question again. That's a great topic to talk about. Spirituality is like being on a cruise boat. You got the low tide and the high end of the wave, the cusp, and the little valleys, the mountains and the valleys, and that tends to be the spiritual walk, right? You have your high points and your low points. I try to separate my politics from my religion, to be honest with you. I don't think that politics should be dictated by a religious book or a religious tradition. I don't.
Okay, so then when I read your stuff, because I'm thinking of you politically, I'm trying to understand what you're saying religiously in a political light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but when you post it, it's not.
It's not.
Okay. Well,
So,
and this is how you have to talk about why. Okay, fair enough.
Now, some things are political, which some people may consider religious, like abortion, right? Obviously, that's a political issue that you can defend, as Walter Block did with evictionism, in a way that's not religious at all. You're not quoting any Bible verses or anything. You're not being religious at all. You're just stating that every person has a right to their own life, right? And if you willfully engage in sexual relations, then you have the obligation, just like if you willfully sell somebody a cup of coffee, then you have the obligation, legal obligation, to give them a cup of coffee, to take care of them until they're able to take care of themselves. It's just the way to go. Unless, of course, you were violated, right? If you're raped, then that's a different situation, because that's against your voluntary will. So that's not even religious, really. Now, some people make it really a religious issue, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. You know what I'm saying? Drug use, right? Is drunkenness, forbidden in the Bible? And whether Islamic, Jewish, or Christian, of course, drunkenness. But do I believe people should be able to drink whatever they want to drink? Of course. So my separation.
I hope so.
Well, I'm not drunk.
Not yet, but we'll see. What's up? Okay, yeah. I hear you.
You see what I'm saying? So even though I believe that drunkenness is a sin, I don't believe that drunkenness is something that should be fought against by the state.
Wait, you think drunkenness is a sin?
Drunkenness, yes. Not drinking, right? Not having a drink or whatever, getting tipsy, not necessarily a sin.
You're just sinning a little bit.
Getting drunk to where you're slurring your words and you slip.
Okay, so we're just sinning a little bit.
No, it's not about no.
No, I'm okay with sinning a little bit. I'm okay with.
The sin is when you're drunk. So
you lose your mental whatever.
There you go. Why? Because what's the purpose of humanity? The purpose of humanity is to live within your cognitive abilities, is to be able to function within your cognitive abilities. If you inebriate or drunk, get your point of such a drunkenness to where you can't function cognitively, then yet you're almost like useless as a human.
Yeah.
At which point it's a sin because you're not functioning
Yeah.
the way you're supposed to function. It's like putting diesel in a regular gas engine. You know, it ain't gonna work.
So something cool that you might like that.
That's a stupid analogy, but I'm sorry.
That, hey, because we're not drunkenness yet. We're just no. So I listened to this. I'm involved with this one podcast, the Unregistered Podcast, and he had a guest on recently, and I forgot his name. But his theory is that societies or cultures were actually formed around beer. That there's a lot of proof that shows that the agriculture that was being produced initially wasn't that great for consumption.
Yeah.
It was mostly for making beer, because when because when you make the beer, you're able to have, our conversation might have been different if we weren't drinking.
Sure.
But so when you have some drinks and you're able to keep it like chill, you're able to I guess like lower your like I forgot what you call it.
You know, social barriers.
Yeah, and then
walls,
you're able to and out of that you're able to get you're able to progress society, and positive, like, good ideas come out, and this and that and shit like that. So I don't know if you've ever heard of that. You should.
It's a stone ape theory.
I don't know.
Right, McKinney. He's an evolutionist, right? But he said that it's the monkeys that ate the psychedelic mushrooms that. Oh,
really? That was the same vibe, the same thing.
That progressed quicker.
Okay, I never heard of that. That's cool. It's the same in the same vein.
They obviously, if you're scavenging for this in the wild, you're not getting a whole bunch. You're getting little micro doses of it. So you're getting just enough to tweak.
And then be like, hey, what the fuck's going on? Hey, let's look. Hey, those monkeys were thinking of like the Matrix movie already. They were writing the Matrix movie hundreds of thousands of years ago.
On the wall, bro. The drawings on the wall, bro. Yeah.
That's funny. So what is it?
But to get to, I want to make a point on the religious thing.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Everyone's got their own religion, but I do find Protestantism very compelling, and I know you mentioned.
Okay, is that what you?
Yes, I identify as a Protestant, and I know you mentioned you're raised Catholic, and I was raised Catholic as well. And Catholic, unfortunately, is very conformist, very authoritarian, very statist, kind of anti-libertarian at the end of the day. In fact, there's whole Catholic seminars and lectures and gatherings based on debating libertarianism. Like literally,
like Catholic schools of thought have different
Catholic lectures by priests saying that libertarianism is completely wrong. Whereas Protestantism, right, the idea that each individual has a personal relationship with God as opposed to a group within a church, but each leads, logically towards more liberal or libertarian values.
Yeah.
And so I find Protestantism and the Protestant work ethic and capitalism and all these things kind of
align more with that group.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know that. I mean, I would read your stuff sometimes. Like I said, I would look at it through a political lens. I'll try to read it through more of a religious part of it sometimes, and be like, okay, I know, I but it still goes over my head. But you're in a good place right now with your spirituality and all that.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm in the place God put me at, and that's the way I see it. Is we're mere mortals, right? In any religion or any basis of thought, we're just mere mortals made from the dust of the earth.
Microdosing monkeys, man.
Microdosing monkeys, exactly.
So to change a little bit too, as to respect the time that we had was this is something that I purposely because we've been trying to get together to do interviews or something for a while, and but I purposely thought that we would have this conversation, and I wanted to have this question on here. So because like I said, I'm a sports guy. I like to play the way that I would like fair or what, like the way that I'd want to. I'm not religious, but I like to go in and roll.
What's your sport?
Well, football or boxing or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, football and for team sport, and boxing is individual.
You're about to uppercut me or
no. No. Well, I was gonna say that. Well, the question is.
Windmill.
No. Tell me about, unless you've changed. And this I don't know, was the flat Earth stuff. this is
Oh,
something
yeah,
that
yeah.
I
That's deep.
purposely like. I knew that if I was gonna talk to somebody, maybe one day I'll talk to somebody. But no.
Yeah.
I always thought it was gonna be. I was gonna talk to you one day about it, but I've never looked into it. I've never even tried to. I've seen, sometimes some people post little videos where,
Here
and
and there,
it just okay, but also the other little short videos, it can be compelling on both sides. And I use the
Both sides,
word
of course.
and I use the word compelling,
And
I
that's
don't
when you know it's a good.
and I don't really use the word compelling a lot because I don't even know how to spell it. But no, don't even. I don't know how to spell it. But compelling to me means like, okay, cool, all right, fair enough. So what's up with this? So tell me why the Earth is flat.
So first of all, right, my cosmology or my geo plane view, right, has nothing to do with my political view, right? So you can be a libertarian that believes in a globe Earth or a flat Earth. That has no bearing on your political beliefs, right? Now, I will tell you this much: Jeff Burek, he did the podcast or the YouTube show Anarchast, or where he would interview different anarchists, anarcho-capitalists for the most part. He interviewed Eric Dubay one time. Now, Eric Dubay is a big YouTube flat Earth guy before YouTube banned all the flat Earth videos, because they banned flat Earth videos, 9/11 videos, election videos. They banned COVID videos. They banned everything, essentially. But flat Earth was incidentally one of them, which is kind of weird. But he interviewed Eric Dubay back in like 2015. And I heard that interview because I was a big, I was listening to Jeff Burek and Anarchast back then, and I thought it was the dumbest thing ever, man. I was so offended at the fact that Jeff Burek would interview a flat earther. I thought, great, now everyone's gonna think that all libertarians are flat earthers. This is great. Great, now we got another obstacle to deal with, right? And no, not all and in fact, vast majority are globers and the minority are flat earthers. But he interviewed Eric Dubay, and I refused to listen to that interview for like 6 months, bro. I refused. I was like, I ain't gonna.
Wow, you have the months laid out. You knew how long.
It was around that time.
Half a year.
Yeah, it was like half a year. I was like, I refuse. Eventually, I get bored in my apartment. I get bored, getting high.
Yeah.
Getting high. Gotta listen to something new, right? I'm tired. I've been listening to everybody. I'm tired. I guess I'll listen to that Burek.
Oh man, wait! You let that podcast interview age like a good wine, right? You were just letting it age. That's what you were doing. But all right, fair enough. That's cool.
Sometimes the truth is like
that.
Yeah. You ain't ready for it.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Deal with what you want to deal with at the moment. Whatever you're into at the moment. You want to get into economics? Get into economics.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything else. Get into whatever you're into. So at that point, I was at a stage where I wasn't compelled to learn anything new, and I was like, screw it. I'll listen to this flat Earth stuff. I listened to the interview. Got me listening to other interviews and lectures and presentations, and yeah, man, it took about a year. And around the time that I was getting mid 2016, around the time that I was getting convinced that Trump, was
making a run,
something to support,
or
somebody to support. Because at first I didn't support. I thought he was just a regular Republican, just saying what everybody wants to hear, and he's not going to follow through.
Yeah.
And it took about a year. I was like, oh, he's following through.
Yeah.
Around that time, the flat Earth thing culminated too, and it felt like I was a gay guy in the 1950s, bro. Coming out of the closet about flat Earth and supporting Trump was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because I already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you were posting about that, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
People were going to hate me. People were going to call me dumb. People were going to call me an idiot. People were going to call me stupid. I was going to lose a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
Right? The libertarian crew people, the agorist crew, the hardcore libertarians, everybody. Yeah. I was shooting arrows at everybody, and I was like, I just gotta start asking questions, and yeah, dude, 2016, I came out as a flat earther, man, and so I guess the main argument for the Earth being flat is, well, show me the curve, and water doesn't bend, water doesn't bend. Show me the length of the latitude lines. If the Earth is a globe, then every latitude line underneath the equator should be getting smaller, right? Let's have a length for each latitude. And then people tell me, no, we can't have the length. We don't know the length of each. But we know the distance of each star from us. 200 and something, 30 light years away. But we don't know the length of each latitude line, bro. Come on now.
Yeah, no, I don't know. So is it because the Earth has a little bit of its own shifting or exact latitude, or they have an estimate of it, or what?
Give me an
because
estimate.
Because even the stars that are up there, it's all an estimate, right? It's not like...
It's an estimate, right? But I haven't found an estimate for the latitude lines.
Okay.
I haven't found one, and I've looked around for it. That's one argument, right?
Yeah, sure.
Just show me the length of the latitude line. If after the equator the lines get longer, then we're on a disc, on a record, on a pizza. If they get shorter, then we're on a sphere. But I haven't found them. That's one argument. Water doesn't bend. Look at a pool. No matter how big the pool is, or a lake, or an ocean, the water can't bend. It's pretty stationary and flat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, I've never looked into it. I've seen these little videos, so you'd have to send me information to be into it. Now, just the one thing that I would say was that has the capitalist ever tried to capitalize on a flat Earth?
Well, book writers and whatnot. Well, what do you mean by that? Like,
I don't know. Like, as if it's when something's like the underground or something, has anybody ever tried? So that's my thing. Is like capital flows wherever flat or not flat, towards where there's money to be made. Well, some writers and stuff like that's not a lot. That's not a lot of capital behind it.
There's not.
Has the governments or capitalists, like where the money's at, ever made moves towards proving it or not proving it, or making moves? Has Trump ever tried to build a hotel near the flat, but near the you know what I'm saying? Like why hasn't so that would be my only thing without even knowing is like, well, where's the money towards? And if there's not, then that would be my first thing. Like without even going into the science would be.
They banned it off of YouTube, so that's a thing. If it's so dumb and it's crazy and stupid, why are you going to ban 9/11 truth videos? Why are you going to ban COVID stuff? Why are you going to ban election stuff? Why are you going to ban flat Earth stuff, right? And they banned it with the 9/11 stuff. And then as far as money goes, no, there's no money to be made off of it because all space agencies, all government programs, space agencies are based on the globe model.
Okay.
With all their CGI and everything. So
yeah, fair enough. So to respect the time, you had said the new things coming out. And it's something too that you that I know that you get into, and it's like this would be new to me. And again, would be like cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin stuff. I know that I think without too much, I don't think you're a regular Bitcoiner. There's another type of Bitcoin. There's a vato, Craig S. Wright, that claims he's the Satoshi guy, which is the guy that people that don't know out there, which primos, tios, that if you're watching this, the homies, there's the guy named Satoshi that wrote a paper that was like the Bible of the idea of cryptocurrency. There's this white dude. Yes, he's a white dude. There's this dude named Craig S. White. That's funny. That says he's the big. So I don't know. So you just tell me what's up with Bitcoin. I'll tell you right now. The reason that I don't like it a lot is because my tío and primos need to get an app to get into it, and I don't like the access to it because that means that whoever has the newer technology automatically has an advantage to somebody that could just So I don't like to me it seems unfair. Other than like
too technologically savvy or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's me hating because I didn't buy the app back in the day when Bitcoin was because I was too like, fuck, I'm still on AOL email and shit. So that could be me hating, but I don't think so. I think that like if I was to tell my tios and primas and all that shit, like they'd be like, what's that? They wouldn't even know, but it's a real thing, but so I just don't like the access to it, but you could tell me what's up with like the whole thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, not to ruffle any feathers, like if you're into crypto and you're making money, good for you, right? Good for you. That's what it's all about as far as investing, getting into crypto. If you're making money and you're making it work, make sure you cash out and you solidify those gains. As far as the long term goes, now, if you read the white paper of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin white paper, and if you get into the purpose of crypto, the purpose of crypto wasn't and this is what we were sold initially, right? It's a digital anonymous system in order to avoid taxes. I think that's what I was sold personally back in 2013. It's a digital anonymous monetary system in order to avoid taxes.
And who's the guy's name that got what was that first Trump didn't pardon him?
Oh, yeah, Ross Ulbricht.
And did he use it was a crypto?
He used Bitcoin, and that's why he got busted.
Okay, so there's a lot of that in there too, right?
Yes,
okay. Go ahead, man. Yeah.
So anonymous money had been tried before Bitcoin. People don't realize that digital anonymous monetary units had been used before Bitcoin. What made Bitcoin special was the triple entry ledger, the fact that it's able to be traced and verified and.
So this is cool. I just want to ask you a quick question. So I didn't know. So again, I had one of my buddies come over that the first interview. You guys should check it out. That I interviewed. He came by to stop by. He came out of town, and we were talking about Bitcoin because he's an advocate for it.
Sure.
And I didn't even know about single ledger and double ledger. And he goes, "This is a triple. This is a drip." So then, okay, I'm gonna try my best to explain it. So I guess single ledger is like just one-on-one transactions. Double ledgers is like you can, I guess, travel, and if somebody has a record of it, you can come back and maybe get it. So these were some of these what do they call, like trading routes. There was people that on those routes had the double ledgers of like, hey, you don't have to carry all your either gold or stuff.
The double ledger is basically a business, right? You know who you sold to and how much money you're getting in, right? How much money is out and how much money is in. The triple ledger.
Okay, so go explain the triple ledger
aspect from, as far as what I understand, is a third party keeping track of this that has no vested interest.
Oh, okay.
In the fact
that's the meat of it.
Yes,
the triple ledger is so the triple is the system.
Essentially
the system, the own system checks a transaction between two people.
Yes,
and they have no interest other than if they're checking it and making it right. They're keeping the system alive, which they have a benefit of keeping it alive because they want to make sure that when they do a transaction with somebody else, it's on the one and up, right?
And they invested all the money in the miners. So why would you invest a whole factory worth of miners, $1 billion or $100 million, right, in a factory worth of miners if you're going to undercut it and devalue your own currency? That doesn't make any sense. You've already sunk in the capital into investing into this.
Okay.
So you're going to want to be as honest as possible so that more and more people participate versus less and less people.
Yeah.
If you're not honest,
the more honest it is, the more people get into it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Okay.
So this is where a big controversy within Bitcoin basically arose was back in 2017 when Bitcoin Cash split from Bitcoin and whether there should be bigger blocks or not. And then eventually BSV, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, split from Bitcoin Cash on whether Bitcoin Cash wanted to be anonymous, basically wanted to be Silk Road and dark web friendly, and that wasn't the point of Bitcoin, because if it's dark web friendly, you don't know how many is in circulation. You don't know whether you got paid or not. You don't know because it's dark web. It's not supposed to be known.
Okay.
Might as well just stick with Federal Reserve notes.
Cash.
Yeah, you don't know how much is getting printed. You don't know who's getting what.
Yeah, okay.
Big deal. That isn't revolutionary. What's revolutionary is knowing how much is in circulation.
The transparency.
Yes. And transparency keeps people accountable.
Okay.
Same with competition. It's the libertarian way, right? Transparency keeps things accountable. If you can compete with others and if you can be transparent with your gains and your losses, then people are going to know who's the head honcho, right? Who's providing.
That's the new way of looking at things that you
I
believe is
I believe so.
New frontier or whatever.
Now, there's a lot of crypto opinions out there, right? And this isn't financial advice or anything like that. Now, on the short term, there's short-term investments, right? A couple of months, whatever. you want to turn some money, yeah, it may be an Ethereum based smart contract coin or whatever. But long term, I personally, for my investments, I believe BSV, because I think it's the most legal and the most compliant and the most, how should we say, user friendly, triple ledger, double, validated, accountable.
Yeah, and it's more aligned to the papers,
yeah.
which you agree with, or most of it, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. So, this is my first Bitcoin conversation on the show. Like I said, I don't really get into it too much, so this is me also learning too. So,
and look,
it's
cool.
To
finalize this point, if you want to try to get a Lamborghini, that's a rare occurrence, right? Yeah, look into those coins that are going to jump 10,000, right, and overnight or whatever. And you're trying to get a Lamborghini. But that's not everybody. That's not the point of wealth creation. The point of wealth creation is you're actually providing a service.
Yeah, goods and services.
Society. Yes, exactly. And I think that's what BSV is actually trying to do, is going back to the original Bitcoin vision of changing the world, making it more accountable and more transparent. And I think that's what the purpose of Bitcoin was. Not just to make everybody a Lamborghini, right? Get everybody a Lamborghini.
So then that leads to my final question of the night, and that is, what are you most optimistic about?
Jesus, bro. Jesus coming back, bro.
Well, not tonight though, because there's a lot of sins. There's a lot of sins going on.
Hey, we sinners, brother. We sinners. But no, Jesus coming back, man, fixing things up.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're on a course that can't be changed, and I think no matter what our opinions are, I think God's opinion, and even if you don't believe in God, God being absolute truth and absolute reality, gets everyone to bow down at the end of the day, right? Whether it's God or not. In my point of view, it's God, and it's the God of the Old and New Testament, right? But even if you don't believe in that, truth, if you're in error, if you're in falsehood, you're going to bow eventually to truth.
Yeah.
And that, so my greatest hope is that truth will overcome error in lies.
Fair enough, man. Thank you for coming on. We'll put some of the show notes. I'll ask Rick to give me some of those the Bitcoin, the stuff, and the some of that the flat Earth podcast stuff. I'll put it in the show notes. So under where.
Check it out.
So can you please tell people where to reach you, with the show and all that stuff, and then we'll close out.
Yeah, man, definitely. That's Truth Exposed Radio on logosradionetwork.com. And you can find me Rick Rohde on Facebook and Twitter. So that's where I'm at.
Salud, man.
Appreciate it, Vato.
Salud, guys. Thank you.
Salud.